Welcome back. So today we are going to be starting our new player adventure. This is the home screen that you're going to be dropped into with your battle tab. Normally if you're a new player you're going to have something like 4 squads sitting here. There will be a vehicle and say 3 infantry squads. Mine's different because I've played the game a lot. But just know that this battle tab is your home screen, and this is where you're going to see your squads. And we'll go over soldiers and all that a little bit later. Now moving on, up here in the middle, this is where you're going to see the current nation you're on and the current battle rating you're on. If we click here, for example, we'll go to America, and it says USA, and battle rating 2, because this is set up to be battle rating 2. Moving on, we have our enlisted gold. This is the premium currency. If you click on it, it'll take you out of the game, and it will bring you to their website where you can pick up gold should you choose to. Silver is your most common currency that's used for almost everything in the game. This is really just where you track it. There's a separate area where you'll click on shop to actually use it. Moving on from there, you've got your profile. So the left profile, if you click on squads, it'll show you your stats for squads. You can see your total stats. You can change your portrait if you've unlocked any. You can change your decorators for your name if you've unlocked any. That's the little Christmas trees next to my name there, for example. You can change your nickname. Over here, you'll see your rank. Now, rank is indicative of how much you've played in a given season. It's not really indicative of skill. So, as long as you play consistently, you'll probably be able to hit Marshal. It's not terribly difficult. As long as you're just playing your games and you're not quitting, you're almost guaranteed to get there. And there are some rewards tied to it. For example, these portraits with the date ticking down on them, those all come for hitting Marshal, but there's a bunch of other rewards. Medals, I wouldn't worry about. I haven't seen anything run that uses medals in quite some time. Posters can come from the Battle Pass, it can come from certain premium squads. I think they've come from events before, but don't quote me on that. You can see your active boosters here, but since boosters auto-activate, this tab isn't really very important. Here you'll find your achievements, and they do give you silver rewards, so they're well worth doing, and there is one that gives you a gold soldier order, so also worth pursuing. And here you'll find your weekly tasks. This mostly ties into the battle pass and progression, but because you get free things by completing levels in the battle pass, it's worth doing your weekly tasks. They'll tell you exactly what it is that you need to do, and as long as you do them, you'll get progression in your battle pass, or you'll get silver rewards, or you'll get soldier rewards, just all manner of different things. And then here you'll find your replays. And every day when you log in, or right about now, which is about 2 a.m. my time, you'll see this daily rewards pop up, and it's basically just free stuff. Depending on how many days you've logged in, and depending on which day you're on, they'll have different rewards that you can get. It's not really something to worry about, it's just a loyalty bonus, and it's nice to get free stuff. So in my case, I got a 100% booster for 2 battles, and it'll be available for 18 hours. So, going back to what we were just talking about, if you have any boosters, you'll see them in here. You'll also see it down here on the start button, so it's not really necessary to go in there to check them. Anyway, moving on. Over here you'll see premium time. Now, with premium time, I'm not going to go over everything premium and gold related today, but just quickly to go over the premium account. It's probably the highest value thing that you can get. It gives you a 100% research bonus. It gives you more squads in battle. It it greatly increases your soldier reserve. It gives you extra vehicle decal and decorator slots, and it gives you extra presets for your soldiers and equipment. It goes on sale all the time when there's big events, so like the anniversary or Christmas, for example, or VE Day. These are all different times of the year where it can go on sale, and it usually goes on sale for like half off, so it's usually best to wait for one of those holidays and just pick up a year or pick up half a year, but it's up to you. If one of those events isn't running, or if you know what you want, like you're starting the game, you've played free-to-play games before, and you know that you like having premium in your free-to-play games, this is where you go to find it. Over here, we'll find our menu, so going from the bottom, that's how you get out of the game, how you quit. You've got your licensing details, your bug reports, linking your Twitch account, the forum if you want to go and talk to your fellow enlisted players, support if you need help from Darkflow. This is where you'll set your controls. This is where you go for options for graphics, sound, and whatnot. We'll go over controls and options in a separate video later on. This is one way to get to the Battle Pass, this is another way to get to replays, and this is where you'll find the changelog. Every time that they put out an update to the game, they'll put out a changelog in here. They all have the date when they came out, details, and a link to the website. And on the website they'll also post these. It's just convenient to be able to see them in-game. Moving on, this is another place where you can see the Battle Pass. If you click on it, it'll bring you into the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass is a pretty good way to get more silver. It's the best way to get gold orders, give you boosters, and a number of other things. We'll go over the Battle Pass itself later on, probably around the time that the next one comes out, which this one's ending in about 9 days, so we should be getting announcements about the new Battle Pass things soon. In addition, you'll see your daily tasks here. Basically, they tell you what you need to do, you do that, and you progress the Battle Pass. 3 tasks will complete 1 level. With Premium, you can do, I think, 9 a day, and I think free-to-play you can do 3. And I believe every 2 or 3 tasks you complete, you can re-roll one of the tasks. So if you get something you just don't want to do, that's an option. Also, mousing over here, you'll be able to see them. Below that, you'll get an ad for a premium squad. It'll be different depending on what you have, what you don't have, and what Gaijin and Darkflow are trying to push. If you click on it, it'll show you details about the squad. You can try them out, you can pick them up, but it's really just an ad. Below that, this is one way to get to events and custom matches. If you're just starting out, it's not going to be super important to you, but there is alternative content there. And if there's ever an event running, there will be the banner for the event down here. Clicking on it will tell you all about the event, what you have to do, what it rewards you, a whole bunch of details about it. Just make sure if you partake in an event, you always come into these and you make sure to claim them. I haven't done my tasks yet for today, and tomorrow it's resetting every 2 days, but if I had completed all these, I'd have a blue button up here, and I'd have to click that to claim my rewards for that day in the event. Now, down here you'll find the Join Any Team button. If you box this, it'll make it so that when you matchmake, you can get any of your active lineups for any nation. I would recommend you keep it off, but if you don't care and you just want to play the game and you don't care who you play, it's an option. For most people, though, you're probably going to want to focus on one nation at a time, and you're going to want to work on grinding whichever one interests you the most. So, if you're doing that, you're grinding a nation, you don't want that boxed, because if you're trying to, say, unlock things for Russia, you don't want to suddenly end up in a game as America. But it's an option. It can be fun. Below that, and this is probably the most important thing to just quickly getting into the game, this is where you're going to select your game modes and your server. So, As a new player, you may want to start with the tutorials, and under tutorials you'll find one for infantry, tanks, engineers, and aircraft, all very important things. We'll probably go over some of these in more detail in the future. You'll also find the practice tool in here. It'll bring you to a range where you have an infantry range, you have a tank range, and you can also fly your planes in there. It lets you run around and try different mechanics. You can do everything you can do in a normal battle in a nice, safe place where nobody's trying to kill you. There will be basically every kind of tank you can run into on the tank range, so you can test penetration, you can test your mobility driving around. There's a bit of a driving course there. You can test different infantry weapons. There's target dummies, an ammo box to refill it, and there's even some weapons laying there that you can pick up and try out. Now, squads is going to be your normal game mode, so if you just want to jump in and start playing, you'll want to select squads, pick whichever server you prefer, and from there you'll be able to hit start and jump straight into a battle. You really won't have to worry too much about your squads yet, because you won't have anything to change about them or any squads to replace. So if you're just trying to jump straight in and go, this is how you do it. The last thing here are custom matches, and here you'll find different lobbies that players have created. We'll probably go into more detail about this in a future video, but the quick version is there are modded lobbies where they're themed for different things depending on what mod that they're running. Some of them are really creative and really well done. If you try to join them, it'll give you the option to download the mod, so you don't have to go anywhere special to get them. You can also make your own, and the only caveat here is you can get XP from playing in custom matches, but it's dependent on how many people are in the game and how many people are actively playing the game. There's basically a point restriction for, I think like 5 or so players need to hit a certain amount of points, and there's a minimum number of players that you need in order for like full rewards to kick in. It's really just a secondary piece of content. It's really good content, mind you, but it's not the main core of the game, so it's not something I'd worry about right away. Anyway, this big red button is how you matchmake. Down here you can invite your friends. Here you'll see invites if your friends are inviting you. And here, this is where you see your friends list and how you add friends, block people, see your block list, and see who's trying to add you. Now, to go into more detail over here with your squads, if we click on, let's say, this assault squad, here on the right, you're going to see your list of soldiers that are actively in the squad. On the right side, it'll show you what their role is and what type of soldier they are. So these guys are assaulters. These ones are assaulter 3s. This guy's an assaulter 2. This is an old squad that I've had for a long time. I probably should swap this guy out for an assaulter 3 or 4, but I just haven't bothered. This guy's a medic, a machine gunner 2, and an engineer 2. And up at the top you'll see 7 out of 7 is how many soldiers are allowed to be in the squad. And then you'll see different types of soldiers for your allowances for your specialists. So 4 out of 4 assaulters, 1 engineer, 1 medic, 1 machine gunner, 0 out of 7 riflemen. Going into your upgrades, in this tab, this is how you level up your squads. This blue section is squad upgrades, so this is going to be the composition of your squad. It's going to allow you to increase the number of soldiers in the squad with these upgrades with 3 soldiers or 3 people on them. The main line will increase the XP you gain by playing the squad. This one will increase your reserves. And then these choice modules here, they allow you to choose which specialists you have. Now, you need to be very thoughtful when you pick these, because in order to change them, you need these orders for changing. So make sure you pick what you want the first time, so you don't have to change them. There will be different value to different soldiers, but we'll go over squad composition and what's best and what I prefer in a separate video, just know that if you're jumping in, this is where you do it. Moving on to the red upgrades, these are specific to the soldier type of that squad. So this is an assault squad, and depending on what type of squad it'll be, let's say it's a machine gun squad or a rifleman squad, this will upgrade a certain type of soldier. So it'll be your assaulter 2s, your assaulter 3s, your rifleman, so on and so forth. So this is how you increase the max level of those soldiers from 1 to 5. The XP tabs increase the amount of XP those soldiers earn, so they'll level up from level 1 to 5 faster. This little pistol here is your pistol slot. It unlocks the ability to carry a sidearm, and once again there's a choice module, and that choice module is either having access to backpacks or having access to a second primary weapon. So in practice, if we look at a soldier, the pistol unlocks this pistol slot, the backpack unlocks this backpack slot where you'll be able to choose from a variety of backpacks, and if instead of choosing backpacks we'd chosen the secondary primary, then it would open up this slot right here. I don't have it unlocked, so it prompts me to go to the upgrades. Finally, some squads will have weapons tied to them, and so this final tab here is how you upgrade those weapons. The stars are the max level of the weapons. The gears reduce the cost for upgrading the weapons, and the arrows increase the value you get by selling the weapons. What this means in practice is this is a PPSH 41, it's fully leveled up, but if we look at this PPD for example, it's 1 out of 3 stars, so it can be upgraded multiple times, and each one of those upgrades will do various things, which are detailed over here. This whole thing right here is weapon stats. We'll probably go over weapon stats in a separate video. We're really just trying to get you started and familiarized with everything. So, moving on from there, if you want to change the soldiers in your squad, you've got a Change Soldiers button right here. So this will bring you to your reserve. So we talked about that before. For example, having premium time greatly increases your reserve. And in this reserve, you'll see all the soldiers that you have that aren't currently in a squad. And to add them, you literally just drag and drop. You can drag the guys that you don't want out, and you can drag the guys that you do want in. Then customizing your soldiers is just as simple. You can go to each of the various slots that you have open, and all you have to do is drag and drop. So for example, if we switch the gun, boom. It's just that easy. If you have your sidearm slot available, you can drag them in. Same with your melee weapons, binoculars, flasks, basically anything that you want to put on them, all you have to do is drag and drop, or drag it off. There's a preset option here as well, so if you have a soldier, let's say like this guy, where he's got all of his gear here, and you really like this setup, you can come in here into your presets and you can save it, so then anytime you want to use them, you can come in, find the one that you want, hit the little checkbox right here, and it'll apply it onto that soldier. But that's a little bit more advanced stuff. We'll go over all of this again in more detail in a later video. Beyond that, you're going to find that there are many different types of squads. You'll have vehicle squads with tanks, with planes, noted by the little stars in the corner. Event squads are denoted by the ribbon, and your normal squads don't have anything in the corner. The little box with an arrow indicates that he has perks that can be spent. So you can go in here and you can spend perk points to upgrade your soldiers. They're dependent on their level, so this guy is level 4 out of 5, so I need to play him a little bit more so I can unlock his 5th level. This guy, for example, is 5 out of 5, so I've already spent his perks because I've unlocked all of them. We'll do a separate video later on specifically about the perking system. Just know that this is where you find it. You can spend some of them early, but personally I would recommend hanging on to your perks and spending them once you've fully upgraded the soldier to level 5. If you know what you're going to be doing with him and you're familiar with the perk system, you can spend some of them early, but as somebody who's new, I would hold off because it gets kind of expensive to reset all of your perks. Moving on, these little symbols here on the side will denote what type of squad they are. So the tank's a tank, this is a strike plane, this is an APC squad, these are paratroopers, assaulters, machine gunners, riflemen, engineers. They all have their own little symbols. And this down here, this is how you change which squads. And like so many other things in this game that are just so simple, you can drag your squads off that you don't want, or you can drag other ones on that you do want. And for example, if we wanted to swap the T-50 with our IS-2, we can just drag them into each other's place and they'll swap places. Very convenient. There's even a little filter up here so you can filter for the types of squads that you're looking for. Up here in the top left, it'll show you how many squads you have available. It'll show you what types of squads you have available, so you'll have a limit on how many infantry, bike, APC, and vehicle squads you can have. That depends with how many squad slots you have. Generally speaking, if you're a free-to-play player, you'll have 1 vehicle and 3 infantry. And they can be any combination that you want, but just to quickly give some advice, I think assaulters are the highest value squads that you can get, so I would always run an assaulter. You can choose what you prefer between tanks and planes, but planes will play up in BR better if you're bottom tier than tanks will, but tanks are really fun, so it's really just personal preference. But we'll go into detail on what good lineups are in a future video. Your other 2 slots, though, are kind of flex slots. You can put whatever you want in there. It really just depends on what your playstyle is, what you prefer, and what you feel like you need. Also, in here, let's see, it'll tell you on these cards what the current active vehicle is if there's a vehicle. It'll tell you the battle rating on everything. Battle rating's really important to the matchmaker, and we'll go over that a little bit later. And in here, these little info tabs will tell you more about the individual squad. The book will tell you about specific mechanics if you've got a specialist, so this is for anti-tank soldiers in that specific one. And the trash can will get rid of the squad. This won't really affect you as a new player, but for older veteran players from before the game had its big merge update, some of us have leftover squads from back when the game had separate campaigns. Also down here, there's this disarm reserve button that'll disarm all of your squads in your reserve. And the squad presets button will allow you to save different setups of squads. So it only saves which squads are currently on here. It does not save anything in each squad. So for example, if I make a preset of this, it'll save that I've got the 126th Tank Regiment and all of these other ones. But for example, if I were to change the IS-2 out for an IS-1, then if I select that preset, it'll come back up here with the IS-1, not the IS-2. So it doesn't save the composition of how you've customized your squads, it just saves which squads are on the lineup. Moving on, over here we'll find the shop tab. Special offers is usually premium related stuff. Battle Pass is for spending your gold orders, so there's gold weapon orders, gold troop orders, and gold vehicle orders. I already have videos up discussing all of those and what I think is valuable for each of them, but this is where you go to see them. In here you'll see all the different weapons available for Russia in this case, soldiers for Russia, and vehicles for Russia. Now over here in weaponry, this is where you're going to come normally to get all of your normal core game weapons. So you'll see the value of them, their names, and a picture of them. If you click on them, for example, you can see who can use them, and if you go into more detailed, you'll be able to look around at the gun, and you'll be able to see a breakdown of its stats, and you can see what all the upgrades are. Because this will come as a 2 out of 5 star weapon, and each one of the upgrades will give you these various bonuses. When you buy a weapon here, it's going to go into your reserve over here. So then you can go to whichever soldier you want to put it on, and you can drag it onto him. Alternatively, if you wanted to buy a weapon from here, like let's say you're customizing him, and this is true of your weapons and all of your other tools. So, for example, this guy doesn't have a flask. If I want a flask, I can just drag it onto him, and it gives me the option to buy him a flask. Same thing with guns. And you can even do it by double-clicking, by dragging, however. So there are multiple ways to shop in this game. I find personally I do a lot of my shopping where I'm equipping my soldiers, but if you want to come in here and shop for specific things, let's say you want to get some flamethrowers, let's say you have 2 flamethrowers and you want to pick them up, that's all you have to do, set it to 2, hit purchase, and there you go. And once again up here you'll see the total amount of silver you have, and here you'll see what they cost. So pistols, rifles, assault weapons, heavy weapons, and equipment. So heavy weapons will include your AT rifles, your mortars, your machine guns, and your anti-tank weapons. Assault weapons will be submachine guns, shotguns, and assault rifles. Rifles will be bolt-action rifles, grenade-launching rifles, sniper rifles, and automatic rifles. And your equipment will cover medkits, tools, backpacks, melee weapons, grenades, all of the bells and mines, binoculars, anything that isn't a gun, basically. And pistols are pistols. Over here in soldiers, this is where you'll primarily find your different soldiers. It'll tell you how much they cost, whether you've unlocked them. If you don't have them, it'll tell you what you need in order to get them. It even gives you an option to go to your research. So for example, I have this one researched, I just haven't picked it up yet. But let's say you need a machine gunner, you can come in here, get a machine gunner, it'll tell you what kind of stats he has the potential to get. You can get multiple of them, and you can click that and you'll pick up your soldiers. There is one other way to do that. If you go into this change soldiers, there's a little enlist soldiers button down here, and you can click that and you get a very similar screen where you can pick out what type of soldier you need and go from there. Finally, in the shop there's a silver tab where you can spend gold for silver. I would not worry about that. Now, one of the most important things in this game is going to be your BR. As a new player, you're not going to have to worry about what BR you're at because everything's going to be at BR1. But every piece of equipment you put on will tell you what its battle rating is. We use BR for short. So this is a BR3 plane, this is a BR5 tank. Each and every gun will have its own BR from BR1 to BR5. And your matchmaking will depend entirely on what the highest BR piece of equipment is on your lineup. So, for example, if everything here was BR1, but I put this IS-2 on that's BR5, then we will play at BR5. Let me reiterate. It's not an average of your gear. It's based entirely on your highest level piece of equipment. So make sure you put on equipment that you're comfortable playing with. Now, what are the matchmaking limits and what are the BR ranges, basically? So right now, and this may change in the future, but right now, today, January 15th, 2024, the matchmaker goes BR 123 and it goes 345. So, for low tier protected matchmaking, you want a maximum of BR2 on your lineup. So, like this American lineup that I have here, this will matchmake it BR2 because everything here is BR1 or BR2. You can see at the top, we're at BR2, playing America. Now, if I were to swap out this tank here, if I were to put, say, this BR4 M4 on, now we're at BR4, and all my BR2 stuff is going to get dragged into the high tier matchmaking, and that's probably not something that we want to do. So we're going to leave the steward on. If you play BR3, you have a chance to play down into BR1 and 2, and you have a chance to play up into BR4 and 5. A lot of the BR3 equipment can actually play up pretty well, but you are probably going to have a more difficult time. So my word of caution to you is to stick with BR1 and 2 until you have a lot of stuff researched in BR3 and you feel comfortable with the game, and then you can think about playing a BR3 lineup. But if you have some BR1 stuff, some BR2 stuff, and you get your very first thing in BR3, I would caution you not to put it straight on your lineup, because you might be frustrated playing in BR5 with BR1 and 2 equipment. That's just my word of advice. Now, moving on from there, we have this research tab. Now, in research, you're going to see this whole big tree. And so anything that you click on, you're going to see details about it over here on the side, and you can get a more detailed description just by clicking on more details. Now, there's a lot to see here. There's a lot of little icons. So the shopping basket, for example, means that you can buy it. So that's for guns, for example. They all will have a little shopping basket on them. For squads that come for things that you research that come with squads, they'll have these three little people on it. So if we click here, you'll notice there's now weaponry and squad up here. If you click on the squad, it'll tell you what the squad is. So for example, this is a sniper squad. This is where you get your first sniper squad. And you can go into more details on them, and it'll tell you a little bit about the division. You can see their logo up there for their patch, the name of the division, and a description. So these are sniper ones. This will tell you about their stats. This will tell you about what their weapon is. So, for example, this M50 Rising is where you get your medic squad. So they get their own little patch, medic icon, who they are, tell you about their history, medic class, stats, and it tells you about the gun. And you can see the gun here too if you want. There are many ways to get to your information in this. Likewise, if you look at vehicles, you can see the vehicle here, and you can see the vehicle squad here. So the line at the top is going to be your riflemen, and it will also include your engineers and your radio operators. So, for example, right here is a radio squad, right here is an engineer squad, and right here is a rifle squad. Now down below that, these are snipers. These are a rifleman squad. These are just little sub aspects of the rifle tree. So basically anything, any form of a rifle, so bolt action rifles, semi-automatic rifles, sniper rifles, automatic rifles, they'll all be up here. Down below, you'll have your submachine guns, and so this will be your medics and your assaulters, your shotguns, and on some nations like Germany, for example, if you go all the way to the end, this is where you'll find your assault rifles. Down below there, you'll find your light machine guns and your light machine gun squads. Down below them, you'll find your heavy weapons, so this will be your AT squads, your mortar squads, see, mortar squad, and some of the other support squads, so bikers, APCs, flamethrowers. Down below them, you'll find your vehicle squads for your tanks and your planes. And this is actually one other important thing. This little triangle up in the corner, this shows you that there are things that are foldered. So you only need the first vehicle to progress, but some of them will have other vehicles in their folder. Now, the other important thing to note here is that tier and BR are not always the same. So, for example, the Bren 2 is a tier 3 gun, but it's a BR2 weapon. Tier just determines where you research it. BR is what's important to matchmaking. Also, up near tier, it'll tell you how many things you need to research to unlock the next tier. So, for example, I have 23 things researched because I have almost everything researched. Out of 9, you need at least 9 to get to the next tier. And in order to research something, you need to connect a line to it. Down at the bottom, you'll see a series of premium squads. If you're interested in them, you can click on them. They'll show you details. It works exactly the same as any other squad, so patch, name, information about their history, information about the class, information about the vehicle. You can inspect the vehicle and look at it, or if it's a weapon. And you also get this little button here where you can try it out, and it'll take you to the test range, and you can see how you like it. We can go over premiums in a later video, but I do have some videos out talking about some of the premiums. In general, though, what you're going to do here is pick what you want to research. So, for example, I'm researching the M4A1. It shows me with the bar how much I have researched visually, but it also gives me a number down here for how much I have remaining. Likewise, if I wanted to research the P40, I could click on it, hit start research, and now you see the sparks on there. That's what's currently being researched. But we're going to keep researching the M4A1. Also, up here you'll find a pool of spillover research. So if I finish researching the M4A1, let's say I have an exceptionally good game, I have boosters going, so I managed to get all 39,000 XP I need to finish it in one battle. And I actually got a little bit more. Let's say I got 45,000, so there's 6,000 XP left over. That has to go somewhere. It comes up here and it gets stored in your extra research, and so this accelerate research button, you can hit that, and you can spend whatever research you have stored to finish researching what you're working on. You can also save it up for a rainy day. So that just about covers everything important to jump in and start playing. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the TLDR here is if you're a brand new player and you just want to start playing the game, don't worry about what squads you have on, don't worry about how they're equipped or anything, because you won't have a whole lot of silver, you won't really have anything unlocked. Just take what you have, make sure you select squads, what server you want, and just hit play. And that'll take you and you can get in there and start kicking ass. Hopefully you found this video informative. I'll be continuing this series, talking about more specific things that can help out new players in getting into Enlisted and understanding your way around the game. But hopefully this has jump-started your adventure. I think Enlisted can be a tremendously fun game, especially if you play with other people. So as per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.